Chairman and vice chairman or secretary. This is the first Fisheries Committee meeting, 5 o'clock on July 9th. And we'll take a minute and we can introduce the members of the committee. I am just the select board liaison to the committee. I'm not a voting member or anything like that. You guys will have to elect a chairman, a vice chair, and a secretary to take minutes. That will be your first order of business. And we'll start with Sammy. And maybe say what fishery you represent too, if you don't mind.
Yep, I'm Samantha Bohan, and I have an oyster farm.
David Wilson, shellfish harvester, elver harvester, yeah.
Seth Walker, lobster and scallop in Harpswell for the last 30 years.
Billy Saxton, I'm on the Harbor and Waterfront Committee and own a marina in Harpswell.
George Prince, inshore lobster, mostly.
Allison Hawks, I own a lobster wharf and fishing family in town.
Barry Catlin, a lobster and charter fish.
Paul Plummer, Town Harbor Master.
Darcy Kuchar, Deputy Harbor Master.
Who wants to nominate somebody for a chair? I'll do it if nobody else wants
I
to.
nominate George Prince for chair.
There's a second?
Yeah, I second it.
All in favor?
Thank you so much.
What about vice chair? There's your chance to get him back, George.
But suck it.
I'll take vice.
no.
Well,
Yeah,
you,
there
you go.
Sammy wants to be vice.
You want it? Okay.
Well, if it's,
I'll nominate Sammy Beekers then.
I'll
Somebody
second
second
that.
it?
Second it.
All in favor? And then you need a secretary who wants to take the minutes. If nobody wants to do it, I'll do it.
I'm not doing that.
I'll just do it.
I elect
Best.
Alex.
you know nobody's.
Nobody's gonna do it, so I'll do it. Do it for the other ones.
Thank you, Matt.
We're on attendance. Well, now it's up to you, George.
You're on
It's
the-
all you,
you're on the
buddy.
clock, George.
You're the chair now.
Awesome. I am totally unprepared for this, so I guess we'll just go down through the agenda.
Public comment.
Yeah, I just skip the public comment. We do have one committee member at least that's not present.
Yeah.
We should mention, Jerry's apparently got the flu, Jerry Lehman, he'll be here at the, hopefully the rest of the meetings, so. So I guess we'll jump to public comment.
I don't think there is any.
Since it's our first meeting, probably there isn't any.
No.
2025 goals,
So committee announcements.
yep. Who wants to, Matt, do you want to read that, or Paul? Who wrote that?
Matt.
I can read.
Matt, you go for it.
Give me just a second to get to the page. You're talking the mission statement you want me to read? I'm not gonna read the mission statement verbatim.
Yeah.
I and others on this committee had the idea of creating this committee to kind of help the fisheries within town, create some education, some public outreach throughout the town, you know, and kind of try to improve the relationship between the general public and the fisheries and bring it back to a time that I remember when I was a young lad here. I think we can do that through creating like a fisheries type festival, other public outreach, like there's been flyers that have been created that go out to real estate agents and stuff, or are supposed to, it's a town policy that they go out to real estate agents to be distributed to new home buyers so they understand they're moving into a working waterfront community. I think we can always also use this committee to look at new ordinances that may be coming through town to see how they may affect the fisheries positive or negatively. And there is not a better committee for reviewing aquaculture leases that come through town, because a group of fishermen that live and work on the place that these leases are going, so there's nobody with a better view than the people that sit here. That being said, for the goals for this year, I think that's, I guess, kind of up to you guys. somewhat, like, is there certain areas where you guys, obviously, we're gonna probably get LPAs and stuff, those are kind of a monthly thing, from, when you agree, Billy, from Harbor and Waterfront, we're gonna have some of those every month. But that doesn't mean that we can't maybe start working on a fisheries festival, or maybe start working on a pamphlet that better describes what Harpswell is, or, I mean, I'm open to other ideas that people on the committee may have to improve the fisheries throughout town here and the relationships, with some of the new folks in town and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
feel free to speak up.
if I could add, like, I'm hoping with this committee, like, there's such a hype and aquaculture has been so driven the past 5 or 6 years, and I'm just hoping with this committee that we can, let staff, administration, the public know that, hey, let's keep this an even field. Let's not forget this existing fishery that we've had out here forever that's made Harpswell what it is. So, and yeah, I'm just hoping that we can keep it at an even playing field. So,
I think Allison wanted to talk about some of the wording in the last couple sentences, Matt,
Yeah,
of the mission statement.
yeah, speak up.
But I want to make sure, because this will be part of if it comes back to when we have any type of things that we want to bring forward, is that it just says when consulted.
Yep.
Meaning, does that mean that we're just here for when we're asked to have an opinion, or we get to have an opinion and we get to bring that to?
both.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm asking, so I just want to make sure that this reflects that what we're here to do.
There's
is-
nothing in ordinance that gives us power per se as a committee to make any binding decisions at this time. But that doesn't mean, the chair of the planning board is in the audience here, so, I think that they are open to our suggestions and our thoughts and ideas on stuff like that, but at this time, that's the best I could really get in there, because there's no ordinance language yet at this time that gives this committee the ability to make any ordinance decisions. Am I
I'm
correct?
not saying for power, I'm just saying for a voice, because to me, when it says when consulted, it's almost like it's the boss and like when I ask you.
No, we can, no, we
That's what
can,
that to me, that's how I read that. So I just want to make sure that if there's a time that there's a conflict of how we feel and maybe the administration feels or the board feels, that we don't just get to be like, nah, we're not going to hear from you because we said when we consult you.
no, we can certainly add some language, I'm sure, to amend that, because I agree with what you're saying, we can certainly be proactive in that approach, and even if they don't consult us, but we see an issue with something, there's no reason we can't bring it up as a committee, and then I bring it to the board or whatnot from that point. There's nothing saying that we can't.
We could make it a goal
Yeah,
to make it an ordinance. as
I think
one
it's
of
a
our
good,
goals.
I think it's a good point, but I don't think they would have created this, the town would have created this.
No,
this
I
group
don't
without
either.
Actually wanting us to have input, and we don't have any real power. We are like an advisory board essentially,
Right.
Paul, correct? Like we are
Like,
supposed
Yeah.
to help.
Like Harbor and Waterfront, I guess.
Yeah, just like a harbor waterfront really
Right.
has no power. We're not looking for power, but I think the fact that we're all sitting here, I've been part of the harbor and waterfront committee for 15 years, and I've been begging to get younger people, not necessarily born and raised here, but most of you guys have been born and raised here. I know we all work in the water in some way, we all have an interest. We're younger, we have kids, work jobs. The fact that you guys are all sitting here is awesome. I've got gray hair, and I feel
this is
old.
by far the youngest
but-
committee on town, not even close, so it's great to see.
Yeah,
And it's the only committee I know of that's made up of all working people as well.
so I'm super excited about that in itself. Just sitting here
Me too.
is, I think, and it's like huge.
Yeah,
Really, really
they are
big.
gonna
Like
listen.
a year ago, like where we were when Dave were in that meeting, and it was like, things were all messed up. We have a way forward now, and I think that is, we don't really know what we're gonna do for goals, but I think,
Right.
I think that we have a way forward.
And I think we can be proactive, and pay attention, and by having this committee, we can all be aware of what's happening in the town. And if we notice something like X, Y, Z, this is something that's gonna affect the fisheries, we should discuss this at our next meeting, and form an opinion on it. There's nothing that says we can't be proactive, you know, we don't have to wait for them to come to us, we can go to them.
Because depending upon what time of year they go and look too, they don't even know who's there.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Well, just on that, I don't think anybody's probably more excited to have this committee than me, because
I'll agree
this
with
is
that.
where I wanted to be before we started the aquaculture committee.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing all these people sitting at this table, working and on all the committees that I've worked on over the years, this is here for me. This is a big one for me, because this means a lot for me, and I'm glad that Matt made this happen. So I appreciate that you pushing this through and making this happen for this town, because this is our identity. This
I
is
think-
sitting at this table, to me, is the biggest part of our identity that I don't want to lose in this town. I think this is an amazing set.
And the
So-
town
and
setting
I-
this up is the start of it.
And the
recognizing
start
this.
of that is why I look at things like wording, because I've been doing this long enough to know that 10 years down the road, when the wrong person sits at the table, they use wording as a weapon against you so that you can't get things done. That's the only reason I'm looking at that stuff, and I want to make sure that we're all, that's the mission statement that we want, because every single word in this is what we're going to be held to
Yep.
at some point moving forward. And it means a lot to me, and I hope this committee never dies. It should never die. Should have been done decades ago in my eyes. So when I nominated you to be president, it's because I really think that you're the person to lead us in this, George. It's not just because I'm just throwing your name out there. It's because I really think that you're a big representative for the fishing community. And I think that this is a perfect role for you, so.
Well, thank you, appreciate it. I would add to that, when I saw the names on the list, I was pleasantly surprised. So I feel like this is going to be a fast-paced committee that's going to get some real work done, so.
So goals are to be determined.
Yeah.
So I guess that takes us to capacity sampling. Rebecca Schill, is that you? Okay, would you like to speak to that?
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Schill. I'm the Harpswell Town intern this summer. I also go to Bowdoin College, and I'm a junior studying government and earth and oceanographic science. When I was deciding different projects to do this summer, I consulted both Paul and Darcy about potential things I could do, and they pointed me in the direction of phytoplankton sampling, specifically looking at the shellfish carrying capacity grant that the Marine Resource Committee applied for, I think, this past year, which ended up getting denied. And we kind of decided that I could look into that and, I don't know, just work on a project along those lines this summer. So in creating the project, I consulted them as well as the shellfish carrying capacity grant proposal and past aquaculture working group meeting minutes. And I just created like a project outline. So I have copies of that with me that if you guys would like to read while I provide a summary. It just has the different sections I'll be talking about as well as maps on the back. And I'm trying overall to best reflect the wishes and the concerns of the town that have been brought up. So at the end of my summary, if you think that I misrepresented anything, let me know. So overall, there's a lack of baseline data about phytoplankton in the Harpswell area, and this data is important to inform policies and ordinances, but it's also a good reflection of the health and changes occurring within Harpswell waters. The town applied for the Maine Outdoor Heritage Trust Fund grant to gather data and make an ecological model to determine the ecological capacity and plankton food resources for wild-grown clams and oyster aquaculture. And generally, the purpose of the project is to understand these factors a little bit better. I have a relatively short time frame because I'm only here for 10 weeks, and my last day is August 8th. But I think that the more research, insights, and potentially usable data gathered, the better, and it can be used as a jumping-off point for future deliberation and resources. So next on the overview, we have potential study sites, and there's maps on the second page, like front and back, that you can look at. And I came up with these sites by looking at the proposed study areas in the grant that the town proposed and mapped aquaculture leases and legacy shellfish areas from 2010. And I know that you guys have been working on new water classifications, so these would be like the type 5 legacy fishing areas. So area 1, you see here is, I think, Upper Harpswell Sound, which has different aquaculture farms, including Darcy's on it, but it doesn't have like as high of a concentration. And then area 2 has over 40 plus limited purpose aquaculture leases. And then another area is the New Meadows River, but I don't have that one drawn out on the map. And then the things that I'd be collecting are chlorophyll A concentration in the water, which serves as a proxy for phytoplankton biomass. And I could use a probe that also gathers information like temperature and pH of the water. I would also gather like a phytoplankton sample using a net and look at this, and a flow camera which takes like pictures of the phytoplankton and identify suspended particles in the water. And I would also look at this under a microscope, and then I would also record environmental conditions like weather and tides. And I would want to collect the data adjacent to aquaculture farms, mid-bay, and near different legacy fishing areas or control sites, different during tidal cycles, so we're taking multiple factors into account. So that's a general overview of the project. My next steps would be start sampling, and then incorporate any feedback that you guys have. And then by the end of my time here this summer, I would produce a write-up, create an ArcGIS story map that has data and the specific points that I sample, and an Excel spreadsheet with all of the data that I gather. So overall, it would be great to hear from you guys any thoughts or questions, and then I also have some specific questions to ask you that are also listed in the handout.
Yeah, sorry.
Are you gonna do any sampling at night or just day?
I wasn't thinking about doing it at night, so just the day.
That might be, they do different things probably day and night.
Yeah.
So I have two questions. You sample both inside and outside of the aquaculture leases?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first question. And the second question is, do you do your work at slack tide?
Yeah, that's a question that I was asking, if you had any recommendations about when exactly to do it during the tide cycles.
That would be my
That-
recommendation,
that's
but I'm certainly open to any discussion about that.
You want to explain what slack water is?
Slack water is when the tide turns from high to low or low to high,
Yeah.
obviously.
Just for the public.
Yeah, half hour or an hour prior to a half an hour or an hour after. So anywhere in that 3-hour period, I would think your plankton would be settled in best during those times. You get your best readings.
Any other
What do you
questions?
think, David? You've been pushing for this for a
Yeah,
little bit.
so, I mean, my opinion is too late for a baseline study. You're gonna struggle finding an area or a bay to do a baseline study because there's aquaculture everywhere.
Yeah.
One particular question, and like, I don't wanna, like, tell you how to do your study, but yeah, you should do it, when the tide's moving its fastest, before and after, both when the tide's coming and when the tide's coming, to get accurate data, what's passing through and what's being held within that lease. And depending on how much gear they have on this standard lease, that may not be the best lease to conduct these studies. I have another lease that I think would be awesome, to do this particular study. Accessing it, though, could be an issue, but, yeah, so you're gonna be conducting all those studies right until the first week of August out there on that standard lease?
I would probably finish it by then so that I have enough time to compile everything.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And it's just gonna be you doing the sampling, or?
Yeah, but I would go out with Paul and or Darcy.
Yeah.
And I have equipment borrowed from Bowdoin College that I would be using.
All right, awesome. You're gonna be doing DNA sampling as well, or?
No.
No? There's no way you could do that as well, or?
I just don't think there's enough time to do all of those things, but I was also thinking into the future because doing this research has really interested me generally. So I still have 2 years left at Bowdoin, so I was thinking of if I wanted to expand the project, doing like an independent study or even an honors project and looking at different factors.
Yeah, another question I was wondering if you could implement in with this study is maybe a P90 station on that standard lease, right in the middle of it.
What's that?
It tests for fecal coliform.
Gotcha.
How would you feel about that, Darcy?
I mean, yeah, it's.
You know, depending on how much gear they have out there and how much birds they have out there on that lease. That's why I think it's crucial, like, to be the most productive, we should pick a lease, a very active lease that has a lot of birds on it. Then we could come up with, you know, ample data, you know, showing what we're asking, what our thoughts are. So, but yeah, I'm willing to help in any way, if you ever need a hand
Okay.
along the line, so definitely,
Sounds good.
There isn't a piece of shore that he doesn't know about in this town.
yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
So I guess I should have asked this question first, because David and I have conflicting ideas about when you should sample. How do you sample? I assumed you were gonna use, you said a probe, I assumed you were gonna use some kind of a, can you explain that process?
Yeah, so there's a probe that is multi-parameter and it can record chlorophyll A. So I would be using that, but also taking direct phytoplankton samples using a net, which I would then like have in a sample bottle and I could look at under a microscope or put through the flow camera.
Okay, so it's two different types, like
Yeah.
one's something that you tow through the water, and one is like a suction, is that correct?
And yeah, one is just taking parameters, you put it into the water and it just takes recordings.
So that's, I guess that's probably why there's conflicting views, because I would assume the plankton would be settled in if you were gonna use some sort of a suction or a scoop. But if you were gonna tow through the water, like you said, you wanna do it when the plankton's moving through, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure, like,
So-
DNA collecting, I don't know if they just leave leave a net hanging. There's a fair amount of tide that passes over that particular standard lease. But
You're
Yeah.
saying that she should test on the inlet side and on the outlet side?
I would test on both sides of it when the
On both
tide.
tides?
Yeah, when the tide's coming and going, and even, gather a sample during slack tide in the center of it. But I think we're gonna get the most bang for our buck doing that with DNA sampling, because I think that's a big part. I think that's probably the biggest part when it comes to a carrying capacity. Carrying capacity is very vague. We're not just out there looking at phytoplankton. We're out there looking at everything that's in that water. So that all that would have to be sampling. But I think at the same time, as important, we need a fecal coliform station in the center of that lease if the leaser is willing. So
Can you explain the DNA sampling? Like
Just-
what you are thinking about?
just sampling what there is for life in that water.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Because I have a couple to ask you guys that are.
What,
Yeah.
what happens with all your research, all that information after you're done?
I would put it into like an Excel sheet that has like the coordinates of where I sample, the specific different types of phytoplankton that I end up finding, the chlorophyll A measurement, like the pH, the temperature. I put that into an Excel sheet. And I'm also planning on creating a write-up where I have like an introduction and I introduce the project. And I have a lot of background sources. I explain my methods. And then any results or anything that I'm able to find, like if I do and if I can't find anything substantial, we still have, okay, we tested these methods out.
I guess what I mean is like, who's gonna have access to it? The state, the town,
I think the town,
Bowdoin College?
yeah.
Like, are they gonna retain some of that information?
I would,
Just kinda wonder where it's gonna go.
I would say the town will definitely have access to it. I hadn't even thought about the state. I'm mostly just thinking keeping it within here. And then I was planning on sending it to the people at Bowdoin that I used, like the people whose instrumentation that I used, so that they know what I was doing with it.
Yep.
So if I may ask, if you do decide to put a coliform testing station out there, well, you'd have to request that, correct? Like, you'd have to get permission from the person that owns the lease and whoever you'd gather. I mean, it'd be a matter of gathering water samples and then having them ran, correct?
Yeah, I think I would only end up doing that if I expand the project in the future, just because there's only really like 4 to 5 weeks to conduct the sampling and create a write-up.
Yeah, all right.
So that would be like looking ahead, I think.
Maybe plan on doing that next year.
Yeah,
Or-
I'll keep it in mind for
Yeah.
sure. And then I have some questions for you guys that are on the document. But when, for example, tidal cycle season and weather, do you notice changes in shellfish or water quality?
Temperature and small tides. Yeah.
What temperature, like if it's colder, hotter, what changes do you notice?
Yeah, hotter temperatures, and, yeah, it's like an equation, hotter temperatures, small tides, and if we see a constant weather pattern, wind out of the south, I think, it's not a good equation for anybody.
Because you want that flush. You want the water to come in, you want the
Yeah.
water to leave, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do the suggested study areas look like a good starting point, or are there any other priority areas that you think we should focus on?
My opinion, priority areas should be a big active lease that has a lot of waterfowl on it. Roosting, I think, yeah, like if you're gonna conduct any study, it's gotta be one of those leases. Like I said, I mean, I think it's, I don't know where we would find a place where we could do a baseline study, but when it comes to carrying capacity, it's like, can this water, does it have the capacity for the fecal coliform that's emitted from a lot of leases with top culture? Does it have the carrying capacity for the amount of phytoplankton that's passing through it? And that would require testing before and after with the tide coming and going. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's how you would conduct a thorough study when it comes to comparing, carrying capacity. Carrying capacity is very vague, and there's a lot entailed when it comes to carrying capacity.
Okay. And then are there any known areas of poor water circulation and quality?
We've seen it in the head of Middle Bay. A lot of these bays where it's really shoal and the water temperature gives it the opportunity to really warm up.
Okay.
We've seen issues in Middle Bay a number of times. Historically, yeah.
Okay.
The two summers ago, when all those clams died up there?
2022, yeah.
2022.
We lost 90% of all shell stock in Middle Bay. And
Just like that?
Yeah, it took like 3 days. So
Okay.
we had 4 million seed on my upweller, and 3 days' time they were all snuffed. And at the same time, we had like 6 bushel digging all throughout Middle Bay and snuffed all.
Come on.
You could drive down past my house and smell the death. And I reached out to everybody, trying to get sampling done, and like it was, yeah, in my opinion, it was brushed under the rug. So I'd like to be prepared so if it happens again, because we were like on our 3rd year of the driest year, and within those 3, like it's like the biggest drought we had ever had, and usually to influence such a cause, it takes rainfall. We didn't see none of that. So granted, we were in the months of small tides and south wind, but I think there was a little more there at play. So it'd be nice if we could find that out.
I think we may have just found our first goal.
Yeah.
Is to be working on trying to get a study done.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
sounds like a pretty high priority, so.
Yeah.
Maybe we should jot that down.
Yeah, and I think Middle Bay is like definitely a targeted area, and there are some really nice sites out there where you could conduct such a study.
Okay. Thank you. And then what kinds of data is the most helpful for you guys? When I'm like finishing up the project with what I can do this summer, what is the best way to present this to you? And what do you want to see?
You're doing good, David, don't let up.
I mean, I think
Right.
a chart, I think a chart, I mean, at least for me, a chart would be, like you were explaining to him about how you were gonna break that down in temperatures and all that stuff, that would be, for me, it would be helpful. I'm
Okay.
sure for maybe these guys, looking at a map
Okay.
is helpful for them. Can I ask one question, going back real quick, though? So you had mentioned it too, and I'd forgotten about the top and bottom leases. Do we even have bottom leases in Harpswell?
There's one.
So would that be something to be, if you're gonna be doing like sort of a controlled study, wouldn't you wanna be having a bottom lease as well, being sort of sampled around to see what the differences were in a bottom and a top lease? Cause that's one of the things that we've talked a lot about is
Yeah.
which one is better.
No, definitely. I mean, and hopefully, funding being there, and if she's willing, like next year, I think it's gonna take more than her to do it, but
Yeah, me too.
there's a bottom lease right in Middle Bay that you could conduct such a study.
Okay.
You could conduct both top and bottom culture right there, find out a whole lot. My biggest concern is targeting these top cultured leases that promote a lot of waterfowl, and we have abnormal levels of fecal coliform in the water column that will prompt algae blooms. And it just, I don't see how we could lose a shore or a cove where tide goes by there 4 or 6 knots, and we lose it because we have migrating waterfowl that habit, are there 2 weeks out of the year, but yet we lose it for 6 months. And we've got these top cultured leases, that the product's being consumed by the consumers, and this is all, we're all in for the health and safety of consumers. Why wouldn't you want to find out if that abnormal level of bird fecal is affecting or could be damaging? We don't know. DMR don't know. So I'd like Harps would be one of the first to find that out. So I've been asking DMR past 4 years to do that. So,
Goal number 2.
yeah.
You got someone in the audience that wants to ask a question, George, if you're willing.
Would A.B. Heibel from the Planning Board really hope that your committee will work with the Planning Board, because what happens on land affects the water quality at the shore. And we are flying blind half the time. One of the things, I was the planning director for the town of Brunswick, and we looked at McCoy Bay after a huge shellfish die-off, and did a lot of work on looking at the impact of septic systems on pollution, because nitrogen from septic systems flows right through into the water. And it's a major contributor, not just from the birds, but it would be really great to know if the septic systems that are on Middle Bay are contributing to the nitrogen pollution and the shellfish die-off.
Yeah.
And Bowden helped us with that study. We looked at the flushing rate of the bay, and so I just want to put that on the table. And the planning board is completely willing to take guidance from you and would love to have your input as it reviews applications. So, Allison, consider that an open invitation, please.
Yeah. And
Well, on that point though, too, is that it's not just what you're talking about, it's also what people put on their lawns.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't realize, and we've had a lot of people buy up Harpswell in the last few years that want their lawns to look pretty all the time and put
No
a lot
kidding.
of stuff on it.
That's absolutely right. And
So that's part of a process too of educating people though, because there are some rules in the books that we're not supposed to. And some of the data does read back to like, it's 150 miles inshore where the water runs to this way. So it's not just us here, but people further away than us where it can affect us too, so.
Yeah.
I would be interested in that as well.
Yeah.
And,
that's-
if I could touch, like, when, that happened in 2022, when that same die-off in McQuaid Bay, that's when it happened in Middle Bay. We had zero influence from any fresh water, zero. There was no waters, there was no streams running.
Yeah,
And we were getting bashed with southwest winds that whole summer. We have been the past, 4 or 5 years anyways. It just seems like that's the pattern throughout our summer months.
yeah,
So there's no denying that there is a negative influence when it comes to septic systems. But the stream that runs out of McQuaid Bay, it runs up in behind Brunswick High School. I know that Brunswick's pretty diligent when it comes to making sure our septic systems are, up to par and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I just want to let you know that there was other factors when
Oh.
it came to that die-off.
believe me,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying I know.
and-
I will just add to that, though.
Yeah.
Once the stuff gets in the septic system, it'll flow in.
Oh, yeah.
In Brunswick, it just flows straight out. It could go from 3 miles upland
Yeah.
and find its way out into the bay, because the only thing that takes up nitrogen is plants.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have plants, it's in the sand and gravel aquifer, and it's just gonna flow right through. And in Harpswell, it's gonna be even worse, because we got bedrock, shallow
yeah.
depth to bedrock. So it's a whole bunch of things, probably.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to put that out, and thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And another one, George.
Mary Ann?
I did want to make a comment regarding the study that you were talking about. I'm Mary Ann Naif. I'm on the Marine Resources Committee and the Conservation Commission. And the study that we just referred to, the carrying capacity study, the thinking was it was a 2-part grant that we were going to look for. And I believe, I don't have it with me, but I wanted to share it with the committee to tell you what it was involved in it, to get input from the committee as a whole, but I was waiting for the committee to become a committee. And what we did with my main Outdoor Heritage Fund is we got a quote from FB Environmental, and I know that it was pretty particular, Paul, as I recall. May have had the DNA testing in it, I'm not sure. But it was to collect data in the 3 areas that we talked about. But it would seem to be very keyed into getting into a particular lab to be tested for specific things. The second part of the grant, or of the study, was going to be the modeling from that. We had gotten a quote of $75,000, I think. We took half of it thinking we could start with the grabbing the data, testing the data, similar to what you're doing. So I just think it might be important to start thinking about how we can marry all this together so we're not doing more than one thing. We were in the process on the Resiliency Committee to think of maybe this was something that it would be, could get some funding through the Resiliency Committee, other than Outdoor Heritage. It's just there's a lot going on, and I'm surprised, I'm sorry that we couldn't bring it to your committee to talk about it 2 months or 3 months ago. But I had hoped to talk to Paul and Darcy after this meeting to kind of figure out where we should go in the whole scheme of things. And I'm not sure now after listening to everything. But I wanted to just bring it out and let you guys know.
I think that's exactly what I was talking about when I used the word consult in the mission statement. It was like consulting with the Conservation and the Resiliency Committee, because I think we can all work together, on different things, instead of having 2 separate committees working on the same damn thing and coming up with 2 different answers,
And it goes back to your point, Allison. The Conservation Commission doesn't have any power, other than pulling information and data together. And bringing it forward to other committees or to the selectmen.
Yeah.
And I think your committee is going to be
Yeah, same thing.
just, and it can be very effective. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
Did you get all your answers? All set?
All right, it looks like Garrison Cove project's up next. Is
Jared
there
here?
anyone here from GMRI?
Must be Jared.
Yep. Thank you all for having us here. My name is Jared Wildwhistle. I'm the Business Climate Action Program Manager at the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. If you haven't heard of us before, we're a research institute dedicated to engaging communities on collaborative solutions to global ocean challenges. So this current project that we're here to talk about is designed to work with the owners of Garrison Cove Wharf to look at their location and design a plan for the revitalization of the wharf. It's gone through a lot of owners recently, kind of fell into disrepair, and so the new owners are really looking to make this a robust place that can support the fishing community who is currently there, but also the future of the fishing community locally. So, kind of in short, we're looking to improve the utility of Garrison Cove, kind of understand how that could be a hub for local growth in the seafood industry, understand some of the risks to the infrastructure that is either currently there or that will be there in the future, understand what supports are needed for the local fishing community, and then what are those trends and opportunities that the fishing community is currently undergoing. Some of the context for this is that we're really looking to do this to achieve some economic development. This is funded through the USDA on a rural business development grant. And so that's really the purpose is how do we kind of grow the local economy through that lens. And we want to do that in a way that is taking into account things like climate change. So how can we make these things robust and resilient to the storms that we all faced a couple of years ago? So we want to understand what's the vulnerabilities, what are the risks, how do we reduce those risks, including how to reduce some of the downtime when they do experience a large storm. We also want to understand how do we improve the efficiency and operations so that can be a viable solution, a valuable wharf into the future. So there are kind of two key tasks that we're really looking to do. One is a report that's generated specifically for Garrison Cove, and the other is a more public-facing document that would be used, that would kind of focus on Garrison Cove as a case study. And this is part of a larger effort of GMRI to come up with a suite of solutions that working waterfront owners can kind of use to improve the resiliency of their operations and look forward to growth in their industries. So what we're looking to do is really engage with the communities, specifically Harpswell, and the fishing industries, so whether it's aquaculture, lobstermen, and understand what their needs are currently, and then what their needs are going to be in the future, how those industries are changing, and how a wharf like Garrison Cove could support them. We're also going to be doing some market research to understand what are the infrastructure or equipment challenges that they might face or could put in place, and then understand the financial implications of those. And Nikki behind me, she's going to be working on building capital stacks or theoretical capital stacks for how to implement those solutions, and then kind of understand some of the cost benefit of those go through time. So one of the reasons that we wanted to come here is just to, I guess, start a conversation and be a partner and kind of ask for feedback, both in terms of the project itself, but also, what are you seeing in those communities? What are some directions that we should be looking at? Are there people in the community that we should be connecting with? Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Everybody,
intern Harpswell. I'm a new resident of Harpswell, and my role with GMRI and Garrison Cove specifically is really anything related to identifying and mobilizing enough finance to implement the projects that we need to have happen to protect us in the whole future. It's what I do for communities all over down the coast. And for Garrison Cove, my role is to identify how much it's going to cost, what we need to do, and what is. Oh, sorry. That's okay. We'll be recording this. Oh, okay. So my role at Garrison Cove is to identify not only the funding that we have available, what the owner is willing to put forward, and how I can maximize both grants and other various leverages that we have to make the best property that we can have with the most benefit to the community as humanly possible. So that's my role. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So you guys are talking about Cook's Wharf, right? Not the landing itself?
Yes, Cook's Wharf, yeah.
Gotcha.
So who owns it?
Ethan Morgan, Ethan Morgan. He also owns a restaurant down in Portland, Portland Lobster Company.
So what specifically are you asking from us?
Yeah.
We'd love to have as much information as possible from the community to understand what Harpswell needs in a wharf and how we can make sure that this property serves not just the property owner, but the entire community. That is his wish as well.
If it's a private,
It is a private wharf, but he wants to build it for use for the community so that it has more benefit than what he needs.
Right now, he rents it out to the town for Paul to have his office there, so he's.
So a nice office.
Located. So,
We
so
gotta get a
Paul,
little bit more
Paul really
stable for
likes
you.
it.
Yeah.
And,
Next to the boat.
yeah, it does actually work well for that, because, I mean, there really isn't a more centrally located place on the water for the harbor master to be than right there, so, I mean, he has been amendable so far to trying to expand it and include the public, you know, in his ideas.
I mean, it's, to have that pier there, it's super important. I mean, I'm guessing, in my opinion, having that fishing pier there is super important. I know I was a member of and Marianne was too, the rezoning of all the coastline in town, like 10 years ago. And I think we kept that commercial fishing, so I think that the town really thought that was important. The fishing wharf. So, I mean, the fishermen on this committee, like, what are the things that are important for a fishing wharf to succeed, you know? And obviously, the elevation there is really tough. You know, it's really low, that piece of property is small, so
Parking.
parking is huge for everything, I mean.
Any wharf around will tell you that's the hardest part, is being able to park at the wharf. That's a hard place to, that
And-
place is a madhouse.
He's trying to keep it like a wharf where they sell lobsters.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
goal. Okay.
So he purchased, and this is my understanding, I don't want to speak directly for Ethan, but my understanding is that he purchased the wharf as a benefit to his business so that he could take as much of the lobster as he needed for his business, and then everything else that the wharf had to offer, he wanted to also offer up to the community because that was the only thing he needed it for. He does want to make sure that it stays working waterfront, that it stays available to the community, that whoever, that as many fishermen, lobstermen can use it as possible. I understand that Casco Bay lines used to come there. It's not our intention for them to come back, but if that's something that would be beneficial to the town, we can definitely explore what it would look like to have that happen. If the town needs more community facilities, if Paul needs more broadband, or we need to have more independent energy there in the event of an emergency so that that's available. If the road needs to be expanded to make sure that it's not flooding in the event of an emergency, things of that nature are all things we're looking to figure out how we can make it a better property for the town.
I would say the most important thing is to make sure that it remains a fishing and a commercial, you know, I think the access in town for commercial fishing is getting less and less every year. So whatever we can do as a town to help them to maintain that I think is important.
So to that end, do we need, I know we need a new lift, that's on like top of our priority list. I know Carl is really struggling with that, and so trying to get the wharf rebuilt to make sure that it's safe, do we need to be available to more lobstermen and more fishermen? Do we need to have more space for people to come up to the wharf? Do we need to have it be open for the public to purchase lobster, and do we need to have more cold storage for the community? Like, what can we do to make it a more beneficial property for everybody?
One thing this town lacks that a lot of other towns have that I've pushed for since I've gotten involved, and I don't know how Ethan would be, how amendable to this he would be, but there's no dedicated, for lack of better terms, public commercial fishing wharf. Bar Harbor has a commercial fishing wharf. Belfast, Rockland, you know, even I believe Falmouth does. A lot of these other communities have dedicated commercial wharfs that are public to the fishermen in town, you know, that they can use. And there isn't one in Harpswell, you know, so if something along those lines is something this town desperately needs, because that preserves access. If, God forbid, the unthinkable happened and some of these other wharfs and businesses in town aren't able to survive, at least there's still an access point for the fishermen, because if you can't get to the water, you can't get to your business.
Conservation is a huge part of our overall plan for the future of this property. So that is certainly something I think Ethan would consider.
Yeah.
And I think that's a challenging period, because I think he really only owns a little bit of land. Like, he doesn't
He
own
does.
any of the parking. I think the restaurant
Yeah.
owns all that, so
Yes,
there's
but
really no land.
no, and it's not the easiest place to get to, particularly when there's traffic in and out. So that's something that we're discussing with the restaurant owners, and it's something that we are kind of thinking through the entire business model of what the wharf is going to be. Like Jared said, ultimately, we're hoping to identify any points of sort of repeatability for other wharfs up and down the coast that will help them stay in business and keep their property.
I'd make sure that you're talking to all the lobstermen that are already going out of there. They're gonna have the best opinion of what they need and what they're looking for, and which I'm sure you guys already have, but they're gonna have a better idea than any of us are gonna have.
Yeah, they had a great wish list of stuff.
I'm sure they
Yeah,
did.
I was just going to mention
It's
that,
really
that
helpful.
that we've talked to the
Yes.
fishermen there
Yeah.
currently, and identified, you know, the lift, a couple other pieces of equipment. They really kind of highlighted the need to involve younger fishermen and provide some supports for them. And we're also going to be going to the tuna tournament, was it July 19th? So we're going to be there as well, really looking for, like, you know, other angles, other people that we could engage from the community at large. Not, you know, not just to think about Garrison Cove, but to think about the fishing community as a whole, and like how can wharves support the fishing community as a whole in Harpswell, using Garrison Cove as a case study for that.
So am I correct that this is going to be a commercial and public facility, open to the public facility?
It is it is a privately owned wharf, but it is in effect a public-private partnership at the moment.
I would have concerns about safety.
Me
Yeah.
as well, the immediate.
Having little kids running around and guys just trying to do stuff, or you
Mm-hmm.
wheel out a barrel of bait and there's juice everywhere, slip on a ramp.
It's a really good point in terms of infrastructure.
Yeah, some liability issues in my,
I mean, that stuff too, though, is that would fall on him.
It does, yeah.
I mean, that would be their liability if they could get insurance to put that together.
I mean, we were putting bait aboard one day and we had a hoist with 2 drums on it and the chain broke. When that thing hit, it was dead low water. If somebody had been under that, they'd have died. And that stuff happens.
Yeah,
You use something
Every-
commercially, it's gonna get worn out.
yeah.
People are gonna have to keep an eye on that stuff.
Do you guys think it would be beneficial for me to publish the financials that I did for the project, so that it's at least available to people to have a reference point for other wharfs? Or to negotiate
100%.
with any engineer that we work with or builder that we work with, what it would cost to do some of the changes that we made?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't all being funded by the USDA, is it?
No, not even close.
Why do you, how are you guys involved? Like, what benefit do you get for representing?
It's what we do.
It's just
It's just what we do. Yeah, it's our job. So GMRI, do you want to take this? Or you want me to-
Sorry, what was the question?
How are we funded? How do we get paid for this?
Where does the Gulf Marine Research Institute?
Yes, so this particular project is funded primarily through the USDA Rural Business Development Grant. And the point behind that grant is just to kind of come up with a guide or a resource guide that the public can use to kind of develop the local economy. So the purpose of this is to work with Garrison Cove to understand what the local fishing community needs and how they can kind of support the growth of that community. At the end of this, we will have something that will be publicly available.
But the entire project is going to cost a lot more than the USDA grant.
Where do you guys get your funding from?
So GMRI is funded predominantly by philanthropy and by various grants. So like Jared said, we're a research institution. We are 60% funded by different research grants for our various scientists, depending on what their projects are. They are responsible for getting their own funding for that. We are responsible for our own funding. So we identify a project in a partnership, we identify a grant to go after. We get very, very little of that because it goes into the project itself. And then beyond that, I and Jared are also responsible for finding our own funding and sort of working with philanthropists to help fund our time.
You
And
take a cut of, so you will probably be taking a cut of their USDA grant.
where were we at? 5%?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's our
minimal.
USDA
Yeah.
grant meant to
Yeah.
Oh,
help
it's
the
your
community.
grant?
Yes.
Yeah, help
Yeah.
Garrison Cove. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
just wondering how it all
Yeah, no, that's a good.
It can be confusing,
It is really confusing, yeah. So GMRI is grants that we go out and get for scientists and projects, and then also philanthropy together.
yeah.
So, yeah, part of the mission of GMRI is to work with local communities on issues like these.
Yeah, you help them get the grants.
Yes,
Right, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, as an example, Garrison Cove is only one part of what we do. Jared works with a lot of other businesses as well, and I work with a lot of other waterfront communities, like Town of Woolwich to rebuild a bulkhead, and Town of Kittery was trying to buy a wharf down there, and working with like MDI, like all these other projects, and it's not always funded by a grant, but sometimes, yeah.
So is the sole goal of this is to make it a public fishing or just for you to come to the town and see what the town tells you they want?
We're kind of agnostic as to what the end, suggestions are. Our purpose is just to get out in the community and understand what the community wants for wars like these. What can that space be to best support the local community?
And ultimately, it is a private wharf, and the owner gets to decide, but what the community tells me that they need is how I go out and identify additional grants and funding to mold that project to those ends. So I take all the feedback and input that not only the wharf owner wants, but what maybe Paul wants a big screen TV in his office or something along those lines. I don't know if I can find a grant for that, but we can try. But I also identify, like, if there's a workforce development opportunity, I can potentially find a grant for that. Or if there's existing funding for sea farm loans and for other marine resources at various government agencies, also locally at CEI. So depending on how we design the vision for the project is how I pull in financing to meet those ends.
So, yeah, I guess my first concern would be, of course, the safety issue. And secondly, would be conflict of interest. This has traditionally been a commercial harvester wharf. And if we now have open to the public, people coming down, want to throw a mackerel line in, bring their kids, do a little swimming, bring their boat in, tie it up, that creates an immediate conflict, and there won't be a very warm welcome by the commercial harvesters, unfortunately. So that certainly needs to be addressed ahead of time. It's honestly not a big wharf, and I think the guys have minor issues at times over there, all using it as is together, but they work it out. So just something to think about.
It seems to me the wharf is pretty big, but the building takes up a big portion of the
Yeah.
pier. It seems like that maybe the building needs to be that big, maybe, I'm not really sure, but has to be a waterfront use over the water, or like an office for you, but it would seem to me that more open space on that pier for trucks, traps, gear, maybe would be better.
I was referring more specifically to the upper portion, where you could basically, if a truck's back down there with traps on it, with a trailer, there's barely enough room on each side to walk by.
Yeah, it's
And
not,
then-
I don't think it's.
And
to
then, like you
code.
said, the hoist, it takes up a fairly,
Yeah.
the building, and then there's the hoist, and then there's the ramp. There's not really a lot of extra wharf space per se.
You're right, yep, absolutely, you're right.
And then I think the fueling, having fuel there, and I'm not sure what the fuel system is there, but having a fuel place on the water plate, for a place for people to get fuel is really, I would say, high priority.
Yep.
So maybe taking a look at that, making sure it's upgraded or to code or
It certainly needs an upgrade, I'm sure.
fire
Paul-
suppression, all those
Yeah,
types of things.
it almost went in, the whole fuel system almost went into the ocean during the storms, yeah.
There's definitely a need there for more fueling,
Yeah.
facilities.
And I would just say with regards to the building, I know that in the past it's been used for the shrimp industry, and so there's space there that's unused currently. So I guess one question I'd have is, aside from lobstering, if they weren't able to grow the lobstering portion of the pier, are there other industries that they could support with that space?
Good question.
I mean, I guess if they're buying oysters, you could use it for people coming in to sell oysters. I don't know, or the restaurant in general.
Is there a need for that in Harpswell? Is there a need for a space like that to support the oyster industry?
I don't know, I'm not the one to ask. I
You
I know
actually
I am, but I'm,
Hard to sell your
I don't sell, no, like, for me right now, no, and I guess that's why, is because right now I'm not like, I don't have millions to sell. So I don't need it, I have places to go. But I'm sure for other people, yes, it would be a great place to be able to pull in, sell your oysters to the restaurant and go, which I'm assuming they probably still could.
There's like some licensing issues there that would.
Okay, so yes, licensing issues. There you go. See, she knows. I don't do it.
Anyone else?
Thank you for your time.
Good, thank you.
Thank you,
you.
appreciate it.
Guys.
Next up, looks like we have a couple of LPAs to consider. Sammy, it looks like you're up first. You want to tell
We're
us,
going to have,
what you,
we do have the LPAs
Plan
put up
is.
on the screen for you guys. I just want to mention going forward, we printed off like 500 pages. Do people want hard copies at future meetings, or can you review them online?
Online.
Online.
Okay.
yeah, it should be done ahead,
We should be
We
reviewing.
can also throw it
prior to, yeah.
reading here.
This is kind of flying off the cuff tonight. Going
Yeah, I wanna
forward,
read
going
the next
forward.
Like physical copies,
Yep.
but if everyone minds.
Save the trees.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're for just transparency issues. We'll
Plus, you always bring it up on the screen anyways, you're easy.
present your lease.
Globally.
Yeah, so you're like a member of the public.
Right now.
Oh, it's yours, right?
Yeah, we'll turn it
Yeah.
over to the applicant.
Don't strip on the thing here.
You want your lease, Sammy? No, but like if the committee has questions, you gotta answer them.
Okay, yeah, I can answer them. Hi, everyone. Oh, Samantha Bohan. I am applying for, I have 2 LPAs, and I'm applying for 2 more LPAs right next to where I have them, which is in Reed Cove. They will go side by side so that I'm not interfering with the little boat activity that is in there. There's a couple people that have little boats or jet skis that come in and out. I've had no problems there with my LPAs. There's no fishing of any kind in there, like, I don't see any. Yeah, I don't know. You guys got questions?
Your 2 LPAs now, are they side by side, or are they,
They're aligned, yep,
They're aligned?
like, yep.
and
So side
you're
by-
gonna do it just like
And
that?
then I'm just gonna put
Gotcha.
another line.
so you'd be expanding to the west or the east?
Outboard.
Inshore or outshore?
Out,
Oh, okay.
out, yes.
And you haven't had any issues so far? No conflict with other fisheries?
None, nope.
Good. Anybody?
And it's
Comments?
working, you're growing oysters, right?
I'm growing oysters. They're doing great, so yeah.
What's the size of the existing
Like the two LPAs I have now?
Yeah, and what's the size of the new one? I couldn't see it.
Aren't LPAs?
Well, they're 400 square feet
Yeah.
max,
Okay.
but
Yep.
you might have. you can have it-
Okay,
Maxed out. It's in.
that's
it
my
is in the
max,
sheet,
yes. Sorry, that threw me off. So 400 square feet each,
Each.
right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So
And you're
then it
looking
will
to
be.
double that?
Double it, yes.
And there'll be obviously a space between.
Yes.
Can boats go through there? Or is that specifically yours?
No, a boat can go through there,
Okay.
but I mean, yes, they can. I'll have to go through there myself with my skiff, so, yeah.
But I mean, it's open for other people to go through.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's 7
Yep.
of them, she said. So 7 of them, you said?
No, 7.
No, she is.
7 cages on
Oh.
on a string. Is that how you said the farm was? You said they're in a line?
They're in a line. There's more than 7 bags, though. I don't have cages.
What is this?
I don't. Hold on.
Just one.
That's just one, like how the bag is. So you're looking at this one?
Yeah.
Yep, so that's like when they're, before selling, so they would float down into the water so that no birds can land on them. So that would be like the go deep on top of the water surface, and then it would be sunk, so that way no birds can land on them before selling.
What do you put on to keep the birds off?
You just take one go deep off so that they sink down into the water and they float with one go deep. So then birds can land like on a go deep, but they can't land on your bag
Oh, yeah.
where like your oysters are.
I don't see an issue with that.
Anybody else? I'd entertain a motion to vote on it.
I don't think we actually, do we
That's
actually?
Do we have to do that? We don't have to? Just approve it or?
Support it.
Yeah, just a head nod, just saying you guys.
I
I
support
mean,
it.
you could take a vote if you wanted. That's-
But it doesn't,
whatever
we
you
don't
want.
have any power, that's no point.
Oh.
All we're doing is telling Paul, we have no issues with it.
Okay.
We're not like,
Yeah.
Paul's the one with all the power.
There you go. Fine. Even
That I
better.
get from you.
Even better.
we have no power.
I know.
Even better.
No, I think
We don't want
I
it.
think it's fine.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I support it.
I don't see
Good luck,
any.
Samantha.
Good
Good,
luck.
Sammy.
Thank
Yep,
you.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
can come back.
I can come back now, Matt. Thanks. I don't even know what's mine. That's mine.
Next is Chris Hedberg, is that correct?
Yeah, no problem.
Chris, you want to come on right
I
up
need
here?
my vice chair. I'm impressed you.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so
It's good.
my application's up there. Sweet, awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone's time. My name's Chris. I have applications. They're pretty much the same, just slightly different coordinates off of Upper Goose over there. Per my research, it looks like a really low conflict area. So that's why I selected it as an LPA. To the south, a little over 300 feet. Most activity occurs closer to the channel, per my knowledge. So these applications are different than the previously presented one, where they're cages. So, yeah,
Can we zoom in at all on the,
I mean, it-
Do you want me to put up the
Yeah, go
ArcGIS or?
Yeah, go
Okay,
And then
yeah,
can we
so
see-
I plotted him on our fisheries map.
Oh,
If
good,
you
I
guys
was
want to see
gonna
that,
ask that,
let me
We can't
This is the one.
use that map yet as a
No,
tool.
it's simply.
no, it's just
Just
a,
for
it's a planning
reference.
tool.
Yeah, it's for reference.
All right, so
133.
for reference, just so you guys see the big picture. Here's Upper Goose. These are our, I don't have the legend up there, but if you guys remember, this is red is lobster territory. I'm going to turn off the water type so we're not looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a long day.
Resident GIS professional.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Okay, so now these are just kind of the type 5 areas are on here. This is the area, these little kind of lollipop-looking things here. These 3 are his 3 coordinates. It's kind of like 1, 2, 3. I'm assuming, are you along the shoreline, or are you, like, what's the orientation of your?
Yep, on the orientation of the gear?
Like
Yeah, so
along
gear will be
the
north to
contour?
south.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And I believe,
This is another little LPA that's already there. And then these two spots here, this and this were two, I went out there today, I went to both sites to just do a visual, and there's a lobster pot here, it's an orange and green, and there's one here, it's a black one, so it's two different fishermen.
And the blue checkered is
This is
European.
purple checker, that's European oyster bed. Yep. Yep. So that's what we're looking at in the area. And for distance-wise, this is roughly, distance to those buoys are from like the middle of his site to, it's about 200 or so feet to that one, and about 280, just under 300 feet to the other one. And those were strings set away, like that was the closest buoy of the strings that were set up.
So you visited the proposed sites today?
Yep, just this afternoon, yep.
So what is that gonna be, protocol from here on out with all LPAs in Harpswell, or?
I mean, I think it's a good idea for us to look at them if we know that somebody wants to get into an area. Let's go see what's there and.
I think it's a great idea.
Yep.
I think it's you guys out on the boat, which is a win.
It's them on the boat.
Oh, you don't get to go?
No, I'm stuck in the office. With a good view. True, yes.
I did not see a ton of other activity in that area too. It was pretty sparse. It was just this string, that string, and then, there was not a ton of other stuff immediately around him, other than this other little farm, which also kind of follows the shoreline there. And it does shallow up, kind of right where his farm is. I went from, 10 feet to 5 feet right on that depth contour.
Is that your other LPA that you had listed on the application?
that isn't my other LPA.
Where's your other one?
I have another LPA that's in Phippsburg. That is same dimensions as what's deployed.
Why would you want to have one LPA on one side of town and then your other LPA on the other side of town?
Yeah,
so far apart.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. By design, LPAs are for research, so they're limited in their square feet. So 400 square feet, relatively small. Like I think the average size of a U.S. home is 1,200 square feet. So they're more like a tool for learning on how things are growing in areas by design for the process. So.
Is that your background?
But it says on the purpose, it's commercial, not scientific.
Yeah, I guess I should have checked both. It's commercial in the sense of whatever is grown to market will be sold.
Where's your access in Harpswell to the water?
I would be launching probably from the Mere Point boat ramp, because that would be the closest, the most direct.
I'm kind of shocked that there's no lobster gear there right now, to be honest.
You just told you there was.
Yeah, there's
Well, you're saying very little?
Yeah, I mean, compared to like a whaleboat, it's.
Well,
Yeah, but I went up striper fishing up above the lookout this weekend, and there's gear all the way up, almost to,
Scrag Island,
yeah.
is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We went up to Barnes Point,
yeah.
Schofields.
So this particular area, traditionally June, late May, June, into the middle of July, is heavily fished by lobster gear. Also, middle of September till 1st of December, lobstermen typically throw their traps overboard. They can see them on bottom, right there, literally.
Oyster bed there too.
Yeah. So I find it hard to believe that there's no gear there. I'm shocked if there's not much gear there right now. Lobsters have backed off a little bit. Is this a year-round lease?
These would be on the surface for most of the year and then sunk for 3 months.
So there'll be something there year-round?
That's correct.
Yeah, so there would be a conflict of interest here. at least 4 months out of the year.
You wouldn't be able to drag that oyster bed anymore either.
No.
So unfortunately for me, this is a no on this, for this particular spot.
Is there a way that he can move his application to a different spot, or any area around there?
It's pretty.
What size is the lease you have in Pittsburgh? Is that?
It's one of these, so
So
these three are roughly, I mean, relatively small in scale. You know, talking about a little over
Really open spots in
100
between
feet.
islands, but that's navigation.
Long,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
cages are relatively a little under 3 feet wide. And so gear is oriented like very tight,
What?
so you can
The
still
other is
navigate a boat.
Yeah.
They're fixed. Per experience I've seen, I've seen a lot of lobster gear in tight spots. And
Yeah.
per the map, I didn't see a conflict there. And site visit I did in May, I didn't see a conflict. And then I also I had a conversation with Eric Peters, who holds that other LPA there, and he, through his visits, didn't really notice much activity there. So,
Is there a sweet spot there where we can put it away from where guys?
In the fall, that whole edge is fished. I know for a fact.
Problem is, there also is other LPAs in the area, another lease there, right? There's already some activity
Yeah,
going
this,
on there, so it's kind of like,
this is a big.
Kinda clustered.
it's kind of like a lot going on there for aquaculture. It's like if there were that blue one to the south, and then someone in the middle, and then you'd be taking up the north end, it's like, it kind of takes up a lot of that eastern side of the island.
yeah, I
Sorry.
get.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, no,
East
that's
side of the
eastern side.
channel. No, east side of the channel, west side of the island.
Yeah, can I just add, per DMR and state regulation, you are only allowed to have 4 of these LPA sites within 1,000-foot vicinity.
No, I realize that, but I'm just saying, you look along that shoreline, there's a lot of aquaculture going on already. I mean, there's already, isn't that blue thing is what?
That's a
It's a
farm.
lease.
Yeah, that's,
It's a lease, and how big is that lease? Looks pretty big.
oh, I have to switch programs, but.
So.
It's like 2 inches, but yeah.
I have other concerns besides
Half a
the
bag.
concerns that you guys have, and this is stuff that I brought up before, and is that when we have so many people from, and you're not really from away, you're from Thompson, but you're from away from Harpswell, is that we have so many people that apply that are not from here. And is that a problem? When we talk about carrying capacity of fishing, someone that's not from here knows the fishing here, and this is why we end up with these issues, is because this is how fishing is done and taken care of, is because people know, like with Sammy, she's from a fishing family. So she gets a lot of how that stuff works and operates, and then it's, then we have people come in and they wanna do, with research and sell the stuff, and just, at what point are we gonna say that we have to, because we don't know enough, we've already said it, we don't know enough of what all this stuff is doing. And then we're just gonna keep letting people keep letting them do all these leases, and acreage just turn into big sites after a while, because we have the most leases in the state, right?
My biggest fear is like lobsters finally come back, you're not gonna be able to fish them,
I'm not trying to, head off anybody's business or anything
No.
of that. And I love that people are innovative and people want to work. I love all that. But I have that same concern about why we're trying to grow this other industry and everybody thinks it's amazing, is that we're actually doing more harm to what we already have going on. And that is always gonna be my concern with this, is that we have all these tools, that we research all the other industries, but we don't have the tools to research this new aquaculture boom that we have going on. And it always concerns me, even with a lot of the other ones, I've seen people not even from our state that can get. I mean, it's like almost ridiculous what people can do to get, and what we have to go through as fishermen to live here and do all this other stuff to be here and do it, and it's just not the same requirement, so that concern's not gonna change for me.
That's 3.25 acres.
That lease.
Yep,
it's over 3 acres.
Back to the conflict issue, if we recommended that this was okay, and then, say, a lobsterman did get into your gear, that pretty much puts you out of business, right? If we uproot your cages and they're upside down, and,
Well, they can't.
there's, well, that's.
Oh,
What
you
you-
challenging?
Yeah.
No,
I'm
I'm
just-
just saying, once you have an aquaculture, that's
That's-
yours, you can't set it.
That's exactly what I'm
But
saying.
that's what I'm getting at,
If
is
they
you
get-
can't uproot them.
No, that's what I'm saying. If somebody did get into this
Yeah.
mistakenly, and then you're gonna come and say, hey, I own this bottom. And that's where the conflict is, so. My suggestion is you find a spot behind a ledge somewhere where nobody can get to,
Well,
and eliminate the conflict. Eliminate it, and then I think you stand a much better chance.
these maps should be available in a couple weeks on the town website, and they'll be officially adopted by the select board at that point. And then I would suggest yourself and any other people that are applying, that may watch this meeting, applying for LPAs, to utilize these maps and try to find the areas that have the least amount of overlap, because like you can see as George is talking there, you have lobster and you have pogie and you have an oyster bed right there, you got leases. That's a real convoluted area, and there are still some areas within town that don't have that many fisheries going on. And that's where kind of DMR does you a disservice too, is they ask you to go out and do a site visit, but they don't tell you, go do a site visit in July, because that's when all the activity's gonna be there. You know, and they should do a better job at the state level of,
Laughable.
yeah, telling the applicants, you should go out there when your lease is gonna be most active, and when the most activity from the other commercial fisheries is gonna be as well. Because that's what you're really trying to avoid, on your end and on the other fisherman's end. So my suggestion would be to maybe go do another site visit now, and utilize these maps when they become available in a couple weeks, to maybe try to find a better suited area close to that same vicinity, if that's an area you're looking to test, but it's pretty clustered around Upper Goose.
You're not asking for much water, right? 10 feet, you said, is your maximum depth, or?
The depth there is approximately 11 feet, so I tried to be just outside of, intertidal. And, per how I interpreted the map that I was able to see, relatively far away. It's very helpful to know, confirmed to the day.
Yeah.
It's a few hundred feet away. It's pretty long distance in terms of space proximity. I would, for somebody who's, holds the license, who's trying to put gear there as well, whatever site that I have, it would be marked on either side, and also year-round markings would be visible. I'd have to adjust for low tide so the ice wouldn't come through. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so I would suggest the same. Again, try to find a ledge or a little cove or something somewhere where they can't possibly get in there and turn around in a 30-foot boat, and your chances will be a lot better.
Yeah, okay. I guess, so I have spoken to the other LPA holder that's there. I don't know what the committee's interpretation would be. If they were, basically, that footprint is relatively fixed. If I was to communicate with him to stack gear there, or if that makes sense.
I thought you had to be 1,000 feet away.
You can only have 4 within 1,000 feet of each other.
So he has one, you'd add 3 to
Yep.
his.
Or somewhere over there, if,
That
that
sounds a lot better
LPA.
Yeah,
has-
that's
That does
better.
sound better.
Visually, that LPA is kind of stretched tightly right along the shoreline. This is only for distance. I don't think you could get a boat in between the shore and where his thing is. Let me see what we're looking at.
There are 2 fishermen currently fishing there, so that does show a conflict. that the town employee did see, so.
Yeah, like he's maybe 60 feet off the actual hard shore, the farm that's already there.
Okay.
And it, like I said, it's laid along similar to Sammy's, a really long string, just kind of following the shoreline. And I didn't see anything close to him. These were the closest lobster buoys, and then I didn't go too far down in this direction looking. I wanted to get what was right
But again,
on the side.
do those two buoys, is that the upper end of the string or the lower end of the string?
It's the string closer to the farm. They set away from that point.
It would certainly be better down towards that other LPA, because like Billy said too.
It would kind of
if yours-
consolidate.
If yours goes there, we've lost the whole eastern side of that island. You can't put a string in between the two LPAs, you can't set a pogey net, you can't run an oyster drag down through, because you just don't have the room in between where yours would be and where that other one already is, you know, because those guys need 300-400 feet to set a string, even more to set a pogey net or drag an oyster drag. So, I mean, that's what you have to think about too, you know, when you're citing these, is there needs to be room for the other fisheries to
Still
happen
not.
around them as well. Because you take that footprint up that the other fisheries don't, you know, you're permanently fixed to that area where all those other fisheries are a mobile fishery, you know, and move at different times. You know, that's where sometimes a lot of the conflict arises, you know, is once that spot's taken, it's gone for forever essentially, or
Yeah.
until you don't renew your LPA or whatnot.
So if you did move down to the other site, how would we see the stacking happen? Wouldn't want the end for end, you'd want to go side by side, or 2 and 2?
I would err to ask George or Seth, somebody that's more familiar with that part of.
Can you fish inshore of that other LPA that's down there?
Darcy said it was 66 feet off.
Yeah, he's pretty close to the
So
shore.
it's pretty tight. I wouldn't want to, well, I'm gonna think.
And it's shallow, like it's like, you know, it's less than 10 feet where that guy is.
That's good fishing parts of the year.
Yep. I think your chances would be better further to the south, maybe even south of that other lease.
What's
Around the, what about?
Yeah, if he could.
No,
So
maybe I need.
unfortunately, I think this is a no, the general consensus of the committee for this area.
For this specific site, but I
Yeah.
guess my question, would be to everyone in the committee is if there was openness to stacking on how that next step would proceed, because the application that I have would basically be changing the coordinates more or less, because it's very close vicinity, be shifting them basically 300 feet to the south, and how that would be viewed on the committee.
I think that's a very good, I'd like to see that he asks that question before you do your application. If there was a way we could get everybody to do that, we could curtail you having to redo the whole darn application, you know what I mean? If we could get people to come here first, you know, and talk to applicants, you know, we could help people cite it. So if they want to discuss it.
That's why we need to change that.
But I think his question is like, how do you want them?
It's up to them.
So let's take a consensus, do we see that this should be like, that we recommend he moves down, and would we feel okay about that? And if so, how would we see the orientation of that?
Well,
Or are we feeling,
linear takes up more room, especially if you're parallel to a shore.
Okay. How do you feel about him moving down that shore to join the other one?
Yeah, get as close as you can. Yeah.
I would be in favor of that, and probably more of
Yeah.
a stack,
Yeah.
or 4 like this.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to lobstering and you're relying on running strings, like, really, if there's a spot where there's already an existing LPA going on, crowd them. I mean, that would make more sense to me.
Because they're gonna wanna run a string going down that edge, right? So if you run your edge long, it takes up the whole spot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if you went this way, be taking up less of that string area, does that make sense?
Yeah, you would, definitely.
So on the inside or the outside of the existing LPA?
There's no room on the inside. He couldn't.
It
It has to be on the outside.
How
Are you an
deep's the
assistant on
water?
that? Are you an assistant on that one?
I am not an assistant on that one.
How deep's the water on the outside?
I mean, it's all like 10, 12 feet in that general area.
Yeah, it's relatively shallow.
There's also a ledge there somewhere.
Yeah, further down is the, like this other farm is kind of
There you go, Branning,
tucked
yep.
right behind this big ledge. So it starts to really shallow up as you get closer to the ledge.
Yep.
But this is 10, 12.
Maybe have him just go southern, but not outside that contour line, but not on the oyster bed. Put him in that little triangle right there.
Right west of the M.
Just underneath that white dot, you can see that little triangle of blue in between the contour line and that oyster bed.
Yeah, but close to him, like it should be
Right.
jammed up with the other guy.
For sure. But they said it was shoaler south, so put them,
You just come a little bit east of it.
Yeah.
So like in this, like below him, but still not out here.
correct. Right in that neighborhood.
I don't know, it starts getting a little sketchy with folks going to the Goslings, though. They do cut right through there, coming
You
from
can go
Brunswick.
through there, you can go through there, and they fish right where your cursor is.
It's probably not great.
Yeah, I mean, where it tucks in is a little bit better, because folks aren't gonna hug the shore when they go ripping up with their boat,
Yeah,
but.
What if you get the other guy to move up?
that's a no-go. It's a whole other permitting thing.
There seems like a lot going on in that spot.
Are you dead set on the Goslings?
I really like that spot because there's a lot of,
Current.
it was actually brought up earlier, predominant winds, southerly winds. So there's a lot of, flow and movement for floating gear to grow really nice oysters.
There's obviously not the same flow on the other side of the island.
That site would be protected from northeasterly winds.
Right.
And there are other LPAs, I think,
Yeah.
on that western side there, so.
Yeah, this.
Have you looked down by the yacht club?
What about on the southeast corner of Birch Island where the number 9 is there? In between the 9 and the 7 in that little cove.
In here?
Right
Yeah.
there.
Nope.
No.
Sorry.
All right, that's why I asked.
Any of that shore, any of the shorelines up there in the fall
Yeah.
Yeah.
are all heavily fished.
You could do the mouth of Duck Cove, but you're not gonna see the current there you need, so.
Yeah.
That's just another example of how crucial currents, constricted currents are when it comes to aquaculture. And
Yeah.
it's something that shouldn't be ignored and
Yeah.
should be addressed down the road.
It'll be a goal.
Huh?
It'll be another goal.
Yeah, exactly. Cause it's gonna get eaten up. You guys watch. It's gonna get eaten up.
You guys gotta come up with a consensus.
Sounds like we're at a roadblock here, Paul.
Yeah.
On this one.
Unfortunately.
Okay, what about on the north end of, just on the north end of Henry Allen's Point, where the 5 is, to the far right of the map, Darcy?
Way far over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going, keep going.
And what if you?
Oh, way up here.
What if you crept up just north of those moorings? There is a fair amount of current. But that's bogey ground, correct?
Yeah, this blue dots are, it's
Yeah.
bogey setting.
Apologies, sorry if I missed something. Was there any consensus on trying to stack them near the existing LPA that was there in any particular orientation?
I think that
would work.
Paul said that there's a lot of traffic that goes through there.
Yeah, that light blue area is the
Beyond
channel.
contour, I wouldn't like that.
Right, so.
Any of the light
Oh, I
blue
was
area would be the
inside
channel.
of it.
But Darcy's saying there's no room on the inside of it.
Or just go no, inside the contour line.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could probably, yeah, you could probably.
Either that or just go a little
that,
north of
But like
him.
on the inside of his LPA, it's, you know, there's not a lot of space.
Yeah,
And that does get dragged for oysters. I know two guys that drag it every winter.
There's a few guys that lost some dragging ground over there from LPAs
Yeah.
being granted right on top of
Oh,
oyster beds.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess my question, yeah, just thinking like if I'm roughly, you know, a little over 200 feet from those where those three coordinates are from gear that was deployed today, and per the visit I did in May, I didn't notice any lobster gear there. So I guess in my
Because
mind,
no one
that-
said.
Yeah, May's a little early, but.
yeah,
Especially this May.
yeah, and cold spring. I guess to
But
go
like George said, guys fish it in the fall too. That fall run, September, October,
right
November.
November.
Yep.
I guess if they were to be close to that LPA on the inside of the contour, just looking at how that map is, I think those were roughly about 300 feet away, a little over it off the top of my head, if I were to pull them. So they were stacked or orientated 2 by 2 on that. So square footage
Only
in
one.
total would be like
The
a
other two are not.
1,600-ish square foot, including the LPA that's there roughly. So, because it's 400 per LPA, so I guess what I'm saying, if it was like 2 and then 2.
How wide is it?
They would be set about 8, I mean, in my head, it would be like 15 or 18 feet on center. Is roughly how those coordinates, how they're presented on that screen are roughly 18 feet on center. So they would be close, you'd be able to navigate around them, in terms of like boat traffic. And then it would basically, from where that LPA is, it would be, you know, just one more iteration of it, basically, just north. So in terms of
So what's the width of the lease?
the cages.
What's the width of the lease?
Footprint, what's the orientation? Is it gonna be a square or is it linear?
It's linear, sorry.
Yeah.
Apologies, So,
So
they're
it's
ve- it's just like a long line, sorry, it's not super long,
Where
but
the cages?
it's a line, and the cages are attached directly to the line, so everything's straight.
cages?
And
Yeah, they're-
cages will, you know, be north to south,
You put
roughly.
in 400 square feet, you can put a 200-foot.
So it'd be 4 feet wide by 300 feet long.
3 feet wide by 133 feet. And
130.
the square footage on, sorry, that I'm throwing out, I'm just thinking the application, that it's includes the gear. So like that's the
Yep.
footprint of the physical gear.
Physical gear is 3 feet wide by 133?
Yeah, off the top of my head.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to count it in my head.
Yeah, that's what it is, and that's what, on the page of the application, that's how it's outlined.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah,
That's
25,
weird.
20.
So what's the, and that's, so you're asking for 3 feet, that's the width of your lease, 3 feet?
yeah, for one site. So in total, each site is roughly, you know, if you're.
It is
if they're-
gross.
It's just where close,
I
you
still eat them.
need to get the boat through, you know, that's 3 feet, so it's like 3 feet, 18 feet, so in total, it's a little over 20 feet wide if they're all 3 side by side, looking at if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So he could fit that inside the contour line, between the contour line and the farm that's there, with that configuration.
So you're saying you go 1, 2, 3, and then his on the inside. You have 4 side by side, 4 of them side by side, not end for end. That's what you're saying?
I'm open to whatever the committee would be receptive of. You know, going, you know, east to west in 4, or keeping the 3 together, just north.
I heard some concerns about taking up too much of the length. It seemed like that was,
yeah, I mean, that is an issue. You compile 3 of them and you have, what, you said 6 feet between them? Or what's the width?
Those coordinates are 18 feet on center, boat, you know, roughly 12 feet, give some room to get in and out of them.
Yep, so that being said, I mean, after they're in place, what's the width of that footprint, the overall width?
That's what I'm asking.
133 feet by how wide?
The cages themselves are about 3 feet, so there's 12 feet there, and those coordinates between each dot, essentially,
Yeah.
are, it's, sorry, in my head, 18 feet on center, so it's like roughly approximately 36 feet.
Yeah, so 36, 40.
Your lease is going to be 36 feet wide. That's what you're asking for.
Essentially, yeah, so it's pretty small.
By 133 feet long.
And, yeah, they're LPAs, so.
Yeah. So it's not, I mean, like, when you're talking multiple LPAs, it's not just that 400 square feet that you can kiss goodbye. It's
It's in between them,
what's in between them.
Yeah.
so they can service them and get to them.
It's how close they squeeze them to the shore, like, kiss that shore goodbye. Like, there's, I don't know, it's,
Better,
yeah.
Yeah.
My concern isn't with the shoreline, it's more the depth. You
Yeah.
start getting out deeper than even
Yeah.
12 to 15, 12, you're in 12, 15 feet of water. It's fishable, so,
That's why I was targeting the shallower,
yep.
close to the line. I pretty much used the.
I'd have to see something definite of what your plan is, because if you're gonna run them lengthways or side by side, or two end end from each other, or,
this has to be something that, I think Allison said it earlier, that we need to start to realize, like, we do have a lot of leases, we are,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
starting to run out of viable room.
Yeah, we are, for
You know,
real.
in some cases. You know, like,
Yeah.
that might be,
We can't sit here and pretend that we're not, because we are, for sure. Like,
I'd like to see something more concrete than just a dot on a map.
Yeah,
You know, if you could come back with something,
On the application, I don't know if it's able to be pulled.
gave a
there-
dot with a radius,
There is a vicinity map on the application.
yep.
And there also is a gear diagram, if it's helpful.
Also, the maximum depth would be helpful when you're talking about an edge like that, or a contour that
Yeah, I think.
stays shoaler than
I
a
think
certain
it's,
depth.
you know, marked as 11 feet at low, and then 10-foot tide, max depth 21 feet.
So,
yeah, he has the depth.
okay,
It is-
good.
yeah.
What if you did, you said your other one's in Georgetown,
Uh,
Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
I have one in Pittsburgh, and then I was hoping to, see how this area grows.
Right, but what if you did a few more LPAs in Pittsburgh and maybe one in Harpswell?
Are you assisting at all locally
you
here
could-
on any LPAs?
Not on that LPA, no.
But in the immediate area, are you?
I am an assistant on a few other LPAs in, off the top of my head, Mirror Point. There's one in Mirror Point Bay and all that. But I mean, my real focus here is, this site, I guess. I understand you're wanting some more information about the gear diagram, so to see that orientation is there, and then the vicinity map that addresses other uses in the area, per my knowledge. Obviously, it's a lot of knowledge on the committee here, so I guess
Unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to kick this one down the road for today.
Again, we're not the final say, so we're just.
Right.
We're not, we have no power, we're just kind of saying to Paul that we think there's some concerns there.
Yeah, I mean, we've done this before in DMR, just.
It doesn't really mean it.
Yeah. Go visit the new commissioner, he'll sign it this
Well, I mean, I
afternoon.
think DMR has
I like that.
come to the table and recognized what this town has done.
Well, they have to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but other than that, they were comfortable with the way things were going, so, yeah. I don't know. You could check the west side of the bay, but then again, you're not getting the flow over there you want. You're not gonna achieve that time frame growth that you want, so, I don't know, but, existing fisheries is a real thing. And again, like, I am so grateful to be part of this committee, because, like,
So Paul, what would you say in your response would you say there's gear seen in the area?
Yeah, we would provide the pictures that were taken today by Darcy. And also, we're still going to reference this map because it's not that, I mean, DMR knows that the town
Right.
has done this. In fact, I think I shared an email with you as the chair of the Harbor and Waterfront Committee
Yes.
that DMR has recognized this process.
Yes.
So I would just state that this new committee referenced that and unfortunately couldn't come to an agreement on.
Yeah, I think for good reason, though. I think there's not.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
again, it's not our job to find a spot for you, but we want to help you and kind of do that, so.
Yeah, no, I understand that, I guess, so there was no, there's no, in the committee's mind, option of, you know, I'm just, in my head, I'm like, there's an LPA there of, you know, adding another one, or, you know, two, I know my application, I have 3 separate applications, but for, you know, trying to be, you know, out of everyone's way.
I think there's a concern because there's 3 feet, there's space to get in between them, and then 3 feet, more space, you know, starts taking more space. Then Paul had concerns about boats coming through there. So if you go 3 feet plus 18, plus 3 feet plus 18.
What about a compromise of maybe 2 LPAs instead of 3 going there? Would that be something to consider? Sorry, not to like.
No,
yeah,
no, no,
everything.
totally, yeah, just looking for options, really, you know.
I mean, the other problem is an LPA is supposed to help you find a spot to see if you can grow stuff in an area. That's not really an area to expand, you know, so a long-term goal is seeing what grows there. Long-term, one or 2 LPAs is not going to provide you an income to really, you know, to support your family. I mean,
Don't listen, Sam.
No income.
I'm not saying
No,
that.
I'm not even joking.
But I'm
hoping
saying,
it
the
won't
end goal
supply
here,
income.
you know,
I'm not even.
I don't see this
Like
as a
four
spot where you're
isn't
gonna be able to
real.
get 4 acres. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot going, there's no way that,
I
I
don't make any money.
don't know if that makes sense, but
Does.
They're gonna be able to expand in the future.
the expansion here is not great. I would want to find a spot where you could kind of figure it out, and then maybe if
if
it
you
does
start
well,
growing
I could
them
grow
good.
more. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Well, if he's an assistant in that neighborhood, he already knows that you achieve optimal growth in the west side of that bay.
100%.
Everybody knows.
But there's
it.
no room to expand, is my
Yeah.
point.
So,
Right, yeah.
Like, what you're gonna get, if you got that space, that's all you would be able to do there, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
for me, if you're gonna invest some money and all that type of stuff, and you got a kid, and I'd wanna
Yeah.
find a spot where you could find, or you could expand.
Yeah.
Not huge, but, you know, I don't know if that makes sense, but.
No, it makes perfect sense.
Anyone else?
it's unfortunate. That's all I got to say. But hey, I spent 3 years trying to pick out spots. So, and I didn't have this pressure at all. This was just my conscience. My conscience with existing fisheries. It took me 3 years to pick my spots out. So, you know, I feel you. I had to pick the lesser of, and I got a cove where it's dead water, but guess what? I'm not in nobody's way, and I'm, content
That's
with
what you
that.
want, then there's no
So,
conflict, you don't have to worry.
Yeah, exactly.
It's yours.
And that's how aquaculture should be.
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from anybody. I want to make something out of nothing, so.
Just as a point of process, so historically, when these have come to the Harbor and Waterfront, when the Harbor and Waterfront didn't find an area to be suitable and we didn't sign it, we would tell the applicant to go back, find a new spot. The town would not charge another $50 fee per application because they already made the.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah?
As long as that committee's still good with that process.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
no, you shouldn't have
definitely.
to pay and pay and
Be
And
pay.
great.
if he wanted
go
to come
bankrupt
in
before you get
before he
started.
filled
That's
out
not
his
fair.
application and work with the committee, you know, that
Yeah.
might be something we can talk about at the next meeting or something, you know, so that way, you know, maybe you could put something on the town website, you know, that people could come in before. Because you would, correct me if I'm wrong, you had to pay a fee, correct, to even get to this point?
Yeah, I had
But
to pay,
side
I had
to
to
the
pay a
town?
fee to get the landowner map and then separate out application
Right, so if you
fees.
could have come and had this discussion before you had to pay those fees, we could have saved you some money and some time. You know what I mean? And maybe found you an area that you could have applied for, sailed through this process and not wasted a bunch of time and money. So maybe if we as a town can somehow get that on the website, you know, that people can be proactive, you know, and we'd be willing to help them cite it responsibly, you know.
So currently, we make them pay before we'll even bring it to now this committee. we could flip that narrative and say, come to the committee, and then to get the harbor master's signature, you gotta pay the clerks the application fee.
Yeah, then it sounds way more like a bribe that way, too. That's not bad.
But where does it go before it comes to us? He has
just
to
gets-
apply somewhere else before he applies to us, right?
Not for an LPA, no.
No.
This now, like mine will now go to DMR. Like I'll pay them, I'll send them money with my application.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So I think that's a good idea. I think it would be wise for you to come back and get some feedback from this table on where's a good spot for you to be so that you can get a,
And maybe come in with a, like, obviously, we're having a hard time around Upper Goose Island, you know, so maybe when you come back with a couple of different areas that you think might be suitable, and we can direct you towards which one would be the most suitable out of those three areas, you know, type of thing. So that way you get something, the committee gets something that's more of a compromise for everybody that way.
Okay. Yeah. I guess my question is, so that those, just looking at it with like the uses and all that, as I'm looking at maps, are these like relatively? Is this like the final version?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
it will be.
yeah.
The select board still technically has to approve it, and that's not going to happen for probably another
2 weeks from tomorrow.
2 weeks from tomorrow. We'll have the public hearing where we'll approve it, and then it will officially be final. But I'm on the select board, and we're not planning on changing anything.
We do have to update it every year, so if we see water revert back to cooling and you see lobsters crawl like they used to, more of this ground's gonna be fished by lobstermen. Historically, it always was, so,
There's some that's not marked red that people do fish, like
Yeah.
in front of the fuel farm and stuff like that, mud.
yeah.
But it's supposed to be updated, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
updating the map
Scattered
on a yearly basis.
Okay, that's helpful to know.
Yeah.
Just because I guess my question is, because I'm not seeing red on this version where the coordinates per se are.
But there was gear there today.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I understand that. And I guess full circle, I'm just saying, what's the most relevant way to interpret the map on
Well, I
my
mean,
end?
I think that there's,
Outside, like obviously site visits and
there's
all that.
red there, there's blue there, there's traps there, there's, already stuff going around the island already, There's active aquacultures, there's a 4-acre lease to the south, there's an LPA to the south. There's boat traffic that goes through there. I mean, there's a lot going on there.
Just because it's not shaded in doesn't mean somebody's not going to fish there.
But can you bring the water type
Yeah,
back
basically what
up
happened,
real
they did
quick?
the classification is they had
Because, I mean, I think that shows a lot, too.
shaded in, so not
The
Right.
area where there's a lot going on
a
in
chance
those,
to come in and
what do we call them, type 5 or
I
type?
can tell you, the majority of the guys
Green-
probably don't even know that this map
Oh,
exists.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
Just looking at that, I mean, you're gonna have to go do your own research and ride around in June and July and.
In June and July, everyone is in a teaspoon of water.
Yeah,
Like low tide.
October.
Traps sticking out of the water.
right.
Yeah.
September,
They're in a teaspoon
October,
of water.
September, October, and November
Yeah.
as well.
Alright.
Maybe not as many people, but as many traps. Same guys fishing at it.
In that general area.
So we've been at it about 2 hours here. We'll move it along.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
cove
okay.
and-
Yeah. Okay.
and
Okay? Can you get us something more definitive?
So shallow, you can't
And,
do anything.
Definitive meaning like alternative.
like not just
coordinates?
not just a bullseye, like show us how you want your layout.
But that is in the application.
Okay,
It's all in there.
I
okay.
think they wanted you to find something
but
that's
just a
more
new spot.
suitable, that's not,
Okay.
has so much stuff going on already.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't.
And if that means coming back here to sit in
I
front of
looked
this
at the map.
committee
This is what I looked at.
and find you a different spot that you can go that's not, because this is where you're gonna find out not just what's on the map. Because it comes from being a fisherman and being on the water and seeing people, and that's what these guys have. So, I mean, I would think your best bet would maybe get yourself on the agenda, right?
Yeah.
And come back into a meeting with a couple of ideas of where else you would like to be that's not in the spot that you're in. That's what I'm gathering from what we've said, correct?
Yep.
So come back with a couple different ideas, 2 or 3, and then let these guys hammer it out with you about where the best spot for you to get one in is. I think what they're saying is they want to help you, they want to get you in and working and keep your family going, but we don't want to put it in a spot that's, like Billy said, you're not going to be able to grow. You're going to be in conflict with other people and other fisheries that are already happening, and that's the whole reason we exist, is so that we can all do this together and thrive together equally without a lot of conflict, so. It's just a no for today, it's not a no for forever.
Yeah, I understand that, and I appreciate everyone's willingness to waive the next application fees. Where these
Yeah,
are no's, so.
definitely.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to pay again.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do, just make the check out directly to me. We also take
Is
cash.
that the perk for the
We-
chair?
We also take
George?
cash, accept cash.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
These are recorded.
okay.
So, new business, 2 things I thought of while I was sitting here, just quickly. Can someone come up with an email list? Do we have, Paul, you must have everyone's,
Yep,
all members' email list, maybe send that
yep, we'll do that.
out to,
You can't have talk amongst email about meeting stuff.
no, that's okay, we should still have the
Just
list.
scheduling stuff,
Yeah,
right?
we
So
can
like,
still have the,
yep.
Do we want to talk about Robert's rules and the rules of committees next time we're together?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
can,
can do that
we
quickly
can
if
cover
there's
all
any
that.
About that again?
put that at the
Yep,
top of
that-
the agenda.
Yeah.
Take care of that.
Most of us are all kind of
I'm
new.
not supposed to leave the room, go talk to the parking lot about it, all that type of stuff.
Right. Yeah, I think, I'll bring in the committee guidelines and stuff like that, and we'll go over that at the beginning of next, we probably should have done that, but we're learning on the fly, and we're gonna fix it next time.
So
Start
next
with
thing
that.
I want to do is break the rules. And maybe you and I could get together and work out the wording on the goals.
Yeah, we can do that, that's not breaking the rules.
That's actually
Right.
encouraged, if
Okay.
the
Yeah.
chair and the
So-
liaison.
Because I'm not part of your committee, I'm your liaison.
Came up with sampling data and education, so maybe you and I could get together, Matt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, we'll do that, George.
All right, good. And then, looks like second Wednesdays, 5 PM, is that the schedule? Is that what
Yeah.
we're doing? So it'd be August 13th would be the next one?
Well,
Uh-oh.
Harbor Waterfront meets 5 o'clock, we're not meeting next month, but
I thought you guys were gonna
Did we-
switch to 4.
so we're gonna go to 4, then this will be 5? Got it.
Is that okay with
That
you,
works for
Billy?
you, Mr. Chair.
Well, I guess I'll sign off on it, George.
What's the date again?
The second Wednesday of every month.
Yeah.
At 5 PM?
Yes.
In this room.
So the next one would be August 13th.
Hey, before you, I'm sorry to
Well,
cut
we
you.
Oh,
might-
go ahead.
did
No,
you
they
have
still
public
have public
comment?
comment, so.
I don't have any public comment.
You sat here this whole time and you got nothing to say.
Probably does, but he knows we're all.
The meeting and see how it all went.
Boy, you have got to have something more exciting to do on a Wednesday night.
I know, right? Tommy, you got
Tommy,
anything
got
to
anything to say,
say?
Super excited.
He's like, get me out of here.
I make a motion to adjourn? Or no?
No,
Boy,
no,
he has
no.
your-
I just,
He
well,
has your luck.
I have,
Tell him that, Sammy.
I have big concerns that I want to share with the committee, and it's with our deputy harbor master. This Darcy, I'm concerned whether you're in for this committee's best intentions, and the reason why is because when we started the mapping, you referred to it as a Mayor Point grudge match. And when I brought up and expressed constricted currents, you referenced constricted currents like you standing in front of that doorway and we'd all suffocate, correct?
Yes,
You did, right?
yep.
And may I ask, I'm not sure I just heard, but you provide a service and you have a second business where you charge people to get leases, aquaculture leases?
No,
No, you don't?
no.
All right,
My
but-
job is deputy harbor master. I took
Yeah.
it because the oyster farm was very slow this year and I needed to pay
Yeah.
bills, so that's how I paid.
So the visit out there today to those, that was on the clock?
I was
That was
in
the
this
direction
uniform.
of me.
Paul
That
asked
was
me
the
to go
direction.
do it.
But I'm asking you right now, after saying this, because how can you blame me not for being concerned? Like, when we started, like, do you honestly now feel that this map and what we're trying to do is a Mayor Point grudge match?
I think you're taking it out of context.
No, that was your exact words.
That was when we were discussing an
Yeah.
aquaculture moratorium.
And another thing I have to ask, constricted currents, it's real, it's part of the ocean. We just had a fine example how important constricted currents are to all existing fisheries and mostly aquaculturists. So I just want to be comforted, I guess, like, you're gonna have our best interest, like, and moving forward.
I mean, I feel like I am just doing deputy harbor master work. The intern came to us to ask for a project, and I guided her right into your project. I said,
Yeah.
that's the need that's here.
Yeah.
Don't just do a fluffy project. This has been the hot topic, so I've sent her that way. I mean, I don't,
Do you still feel like, when it comes to a constricted current, if you stood in front of that doorway, we'd suffocate? That's
Again,
all
I think
that's all I wanted to ask.
you're
Yeah.
taking some things out of context, but I'm not involved at all in any of the planning or like, I don't do any of that. I'm out of that work. I am.
Yeah, we're getting a little too close to the personnel issues, David, so if you have a personnel issue, you should start with Christie.
No, I don't have a personnel issue at all.
Select board and talk about it with.
No, I don't have a personnel at all, like,
Not personal, personnel. Like, she's an employee of the town now. So,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand your concerns, but if
yeah.
you're kind of you're crossing employee with what she used to be with on the committee. So you're talking about two different worlds now.
Yeah,
Anything
no,
she
but-
does is at the direction of me.
So you're here as a consultant or as an
Yeah.
No, here's the
assistant to
deputy harbor
Paul?
master. That's
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Yeah, she's a staff help.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and I think it's a
She's
great
here to help
idea
the
that you went out
committee.
there today prior to this, just to give it a visual. I mean, I wish that could happen with every LPA that comes in front of us.
Yep.
But,
Sounds like you guys.
Well, this year
tried.
we have two, basically 1.5 deputy harbor masters,
Yeah.
where before it was just myself and Greg. So now
Yeah.
we're actually getting some actual
Are you-
time on the water to see these things.
I don't know the answer to this, so pardon my ignorance. Are you allowed to take the boat, and is Greg allowed to take the boat without you? And
Yep.
check these, so
Yep.
well, you could send them
And they
out to
take
check.
pictures, yep.
Yeah, see, I think that's something we should be doing,
Yep.
and it sounds like you guys have already started it, so I think we could continue it.
well, I apologize if I was out of text, but it's been eating at me, so,
Well, it's better to air it out. And
oh, yeah,
Say the
like,
same thing, we're starting out, it's better to get
Right,
this
we're all
stuff out
gonna-
if you have concerns from the
Right.
beginning.
Yeah.
We got a lot of work.
It's easier to talk about it and hash it out and let it stew and have a big
No.
blow up and a mess on our hands.
no, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Just to be clear, Matt, you're the selectman's liaison?
Yes,
And there's 7 members of the committee?
yes.
And it's Samantha, David, Seth, Billy, myself, Allison, and Jerry?
And Jerry, you're a member of the public, Barry. You can come as a member of the public, but we didn't appoint you to the committee as a voting member.
Okay.
Well, keep coming and contributing. I mean, you certainly contributed here today, and your points were valid and well taken, so, and I mean,
So I'm a member of the.
you wouldn't get to vote if there was an official vote on something.
Committee.
Yeah. Why did I get an email saying that I was on the committee and I had to swear an oath?
You did?
Did you swear an oath?
Yeah,
And you did swear an oath?
I did that the other day. Yeah.
That's what you were doing in Atina the
Yeah,
other
I
day?
saw you, yes, that's what I did.
I thought he was on the list of the
Well,
people that was on
I'm
the committee.
pretty sure somebody doesn't want me to be on the committee, but,
No, that's
No.
not true.
well, I got,
No, because
first
we,
I got a letter saying I wasn't, and then I got an email saying I am, and to come over and sign and take an oath. And that's what I did yesterday.
Welcome to Hassel, Maine.
Whatever, you know.
we are welcome, I'll look into
And-
that
and
for you.
Fisheries Committee.
Because we,
Well, I imagine maybe somebody that was on the committee bailed, or, I don't
no,
know.
because the only one that's missing tonight was Jerry, and he had the flu. And he had messaged me and said he wasn't gonna be here because he had the flu. So something happened at the staff level.
I
I'll
guess
look
I'll
into
leave
it
that
and
up
find
to you
out.
to figure out.
Well,
Cause I
It's
took
fine
an
with
oath.
me, it's fine with me, I mean, it's good, you charter, right, you said the charter, so that's
Yeah,
good.
well,
That's the angle.
We might be able to make room for an associate, something like that. We can figure something out. I'll talk to the other board members and I'll talk to staff because I'm not sure what happened there. No,
Not me, yeah.
yeah, no, different
I was
staff.
like, not me.
I don't send
No,
swearing in.
No.
I was on the committee,
Yeah.
that's why-
I think
No,
that's Tina, is
I-
that Terry?
Yeah.
You know, is that Tina or Terry?
Yep.
Yes.
Tina's got a long meeting.